uncertainty in the world, in your life, in your family, creates opportunity. And how you step out into your future takes courage. And that's the most important thing that is important for us today. Where your mind is now is not going to be helpful for the future. And so we need to create an environment both in your inner world and in your outer world and connect it. And once you know that connection, that takes you out to do networking with a purpose to heal the world and first of all heal yourself. So I think the lesson to learn is that your inner game can control the outer game that's in the world. So stay with me and together we will learn how to walk where today is not about today, it's about your future and mine. Everything happens for a reason. And so network must have a purpose. That must be your reason why you do what you do. And so when there's a purpose, that purpose must be enveloped in passion. So purpose plus passion equals opportunity. But that opportunity cannot generate inside of you and outside of you without energy. And so energy moves in frequencies and vibrations. So your purpose in networking must be, number one, it must be real. So get real. Number two, it must be relevant. It must be relevant to you, relevant to the world at that time. And because it's repeatable, number three, 3 R's. The number one reason why people don't get what they want is because they don't know what they want. I think that's the take-home sign. And so we all work because we choose to work. It's our choice to work. And that's the comfort zone that most of us are in. But what we want to do is we want to move to the income zone, okay? And that's where the passive business income comes in, which is massive. And once your passive income becomes more than your expenses, that is financial freedom. So in this network marketing business that we are doing in the health industry is what is called an inflammation zone, because that's the killer and epidemic of the 21st century. So if you're doing a network marketing business in health industry, then between the income zone and the comfort zone is what is called the inflammation zone. Okay, welcome everyone to today's Friday live session. I'm on live on YouTube now, so I want to just thank everybody for joining us on YouTube, and you can also get us live on Instagram. And we just want to welcome those who have just joining us on Instagram. Yeah, you need to turn that thing on, please. You're totally off the. Yeah, thank you. So welcome for those of you who are coming in on the YouTube. I want to thank you. Today we are doing live. Normally on Wednesdays and Fridays are the 2 days that we get on live. And on Wednesdays it is usually the inner club. And on Fridays it is usually concerning my aesthetic practice, which is on Charles Lee Aesthetic Surgery. So today is a bit unusual. Today I'm going to talk to you from the inner club. And I want to welcome all those who have just joined me on Instagram. And I want to welcome those who are joining me live on YouTube. You can also get me on Facebook, the Inner Club. We are talking about a very important topic that has only just recently come to my notice, because you would find that whatever you are part of or whatever you belong to only becomes real when you're in it. And today we've got a very interesting topic, because the number of people who have been asking me, what is this sandwich generation? Who are the people who are part of this generation? And why sandwich? And it's very interesting because in my practice, I deal with patients as a plastic surgeon for the last 35 years. If I look at the demographics of the patients that I have seen, they are usually within two groups. That is, the ones who come in to see me are between the ages of 25 to 35 and nearly 40. And then the other group that come to see me is between 45 to 65, 70. So these are the two main areas of ages that I see in my practice. And each have their own story to tell. Each have their own problems that they're going through. But I tell you, one of the most important aspects that I assess in my practice when I'm sourcing out why are they coming to see me and what's the problem, what is the source of their anxiety, Number one is always stress, always. And that stressed environment that they're living in within themselves and outside of themselves has a great impact on their inner world and how they look. I've said this for many years, and that is, appearance is the most public part of the self. How you look introduces yourself. And so I can just walk into my clinic this morning and one look and I will know whether the person in front of me is there or not. You see, just by the countenance, just by the spirit upon them, you'll be able to know if they are happy or if they are sad, they are upset, or there's a problem that's going on. And so many of us wear masks, we put on masks on our faces. We smile when actually inside we are all troubled. And we're living in a masked generation right now, a masked environment, isn't it? Especially with COVID that has hit us. Everywhere you go, people have got masks on, scared to remove it. And when you really go into the nitty-gritty of life, is when we go home and we are amongst people that we know and we take off the mask and we become ourselves. And the moment we get out of that front door, the mask is on again. And this is the cost of the price we have to pay in living in today's new world order. All right, that's the price that we are paying. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we were fun-loving people. We could smile, we could laugh, we could hug. We knew the emotions of life and what it brings with us. And because of one virus, it has totally destroyed just the whole aspect of life itself, the social aspect of life, community aspect of life, what it is to live. And so as a plastic surgeon, I don't see sick people. For the last 35 years, as one, practicing as a board-certified plastic surgeon, I'm very proud when I say that. It's because of the number of people who are being trained today, and many of them would not have gone through what we went through when we first graduated and came back in 1984, 85, 86 from UK. And we were trained and then started working 1987 as plastic surgeons. But I graduated like 40 years ago, 1979. And what we have seen over the years of working is, number one, is to respect your workplace, because that's where you earn. And that's where ethics of life develop in you. It's in your workplace. And all the pressures of just being alive, just living is in the workplace. All right. And therefore, whether you're working for yourself, self-employed, or a sole proprietor, or whether you're working in a company right out there having lunch break, or whether you are in any environment when it concerns work, there are pressures. And I know in my own life, there's no such thing as no pressure. Okay, but it's how we deal with it. And as a doctor, we are always trained to see and look for a problem. That's our training. Nobody comes in here to have fun. Everybody comes in here, depending upon what speciality we are in, they come in with a problem. And so in aesthetics, when it comes to beauty for the last 35 years, the problem is so deep-seated, it's so personal, that it takes a while for me to really source out why are they coming to see me. And this morning, for example, I had a patient who was actually a nurse working in Riyadh. And she's actually a mother of 3. She's 44 years old, 43, 44. Husband is around the same age, 45, retired. And she's away from the family, the 3 children. The eldest is 15, 13, and then I think 11. But she has to sacrifice her life away from the whole concept of family just to make that extra dollar, just to make that extra income, just to be able to provide for the family, not only for her children, but also for her parents, which are elderly. And so when you first get the consultation going, and when I look through my notes, she's coming for something personal to be done on the face. But I spent about nearly 20 minutes talking about her life and why. Why is she wanting to do this particular aspect of plastic surgery? Why is she looking for it? And then I realized that there was so much happening in her working environment, and people were calling her names. In fact, if I use the name, it'll be quite disheartening to use the word that they call her an animal, one of the kinds of animals, you see, just because she doesn't look right, just because her nose is, not of the normal character, and it doesn't look like them. And so, can you imagine working in an environment where every day someone calls you a name other than your name? And is referred to as an animal, referring to it, because that's part of your face that looks like one. And in that pressure, she's working in the emergency department, in the emergency room. Imagine the high tension going on in her life. All right. And she's away from the family, okay, in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia. All right. And just to earn that 15,000 a month, the sacrifice not only for herself, but her own life, her own personal being is sold off because she's an employee as opposed to having her own business. And I got on talking to her and I said, look, you've come back for a holiday, you're going to spend time with the children. But yes, doctor, but aside from my family time, I can't handle my workplace because of this insult that is happening to me. So you see, she's working for that extra dollar, but surrounded with the pressures of life. And so she wears a mask, right, within inverted commas, every day, just to be able to see it through, to just get on with life, like people say. You're struck with a disease, whether it's cancer, whether it's heart disease, and whatever it is, and then you just get on with it. And many of us live that way. We live our lives for others. We do not live our lives for ourselves. And that is one of the biggest prices that we pay, and that is living the life for someone else. Okay, and so here we have a lady who is a lovely person. She's a qualified staff nurse, trained well, leaves the home, leaves the children, which are 3 of them, all growing up at a very important age, teenagers, okay, 11 to a formulative age, where the children are formulating the concept of what is family, what is life. And the mother is away and she's working just to earn that extra dollar. So there might be people out there, if you're part of a family, you're working and you're working for your family, you ask yourself, that if you're working without any pressure, then come work with me, because then you'll know what the pressure is like, in working life. But that's the generation I'm talking about. The 40 years old, all right, and she's 40. And so when you look at the demographics, this is a generation that is sandwiched between children at one end, which is one generation, and she's working also for her elderly parents to support them, which is the other generation. And that's the sandwich generation that I want to talk to you about. Many are working right now who are trying to support the children and at the same time working in an environment to support their elderly parents. And so these are the pressures that I want to talk about, because why? The demographics are getting younger and younger and younger. In the Asia region, this so-called sandwich generation is getting younger. They're about in the 30s now, 30 to 35, 30 to 38, getting younger. In the Western world, if you look at the Western population, this sandwich generation is around about, the 45 to the 50s. That's the age. And even the elderly patients now are becoming the baby boomers who are now of the elderly people. So I'm talking about this working generation, this generation that is now getting younger and younger, and they're facing these stresses that are actually shortening their lifespan. And this is the price we pay as we continue to live through these pandemics. We live through there's a world recession that's coming in. And again, the people who are in charge of the financial situation across the world will put up masks and say there's no recession. They do not want to use the word recession because it will result in something called panic. And people will start getting panic-stricken. Like how when COVID came, remember, there was a lot of YouTube reels out that no toilet paper, no this, no that. What a situation for all of us to go through. So as one, myself, who has been through a financial crisis in 1997, 1998, it really nearly wiped me out because I had to sell my house, I had to sell my practice, I had to sell everything that I had because what was an interest rate when you take a loan for about 2-3% became 14, 15, 16%. And a lot of that income was just gone, just paying bills, paying the banks, okay? And you're really working to pay. You're working to pay. And so I've been through a financial crisis, so I know what it is to be in the valley. I know what it is to get up in the morning and the bank calls you while you're working. You haven't cleared your loan for the last 2, 3, 4 months. And I'm being honest with you. All right. So if you think that you're going to put a mask on and say everything is fine, you're fooling yourself. Okay. Because the reality of the situation is that the biggest snare that can ever happen, bigger than health, is finance. Okay. And if you think I'm talking something that is different, you can switch off and go and have your lunch. But if you're really with me, you'll be able to understand why am I sitting here with the producer Mary on one side, and then the admin girl Tiara on the other side, taking notes during lunchtime, sacrificing their lunch for one reason, and that is so that you may benefit the years of experience that me as a doctor has gone through, and that you'll be able to have a better life. And so this sandwich generation is one that is now sandwiched between children of their own and parents that need help and care. The question is this: who is caring for these caregivers? Who is providing help and support to this generation? They have to source it out themselves. They have to find a way of just earning and working. And that's why if you go into the Instagram or you go into YouTube, the number of sponsorships that are coming out now from younger people who are telling us how to live, how to make that extra money, how to make that extra earning. Join me this, sign up here. This is a shortcut to earn this. Stock market, invest here. Don't put your money in the bank. Suddenly it's like a craze. And the people who are talking are not the people of my age, The ones who are selling stuff on the internet and in the YouTube and the Instagram and social media are all those in the 30s to the 40s. That's the generation that's now crying out, come and listen. I know how I've been successful. I'm a multi-millionaire. And this is the reason why that there is such a vacuum now of people who know what it is to live, because they're all trying to find a way of how to survive. That's the word I want to leave with you. If you belong to that generation, you write that word down. It's about survival today. It's no more joy. It's no more going to try to earn a living out there and enjoy it. And that's why there is this scramble to make the best of it. There's a scramble to learn how to get leads, how to suck in people so that your leads will grow, you will earn more. And so it's, to me, it's a rat race, okay? Because we have lost the joy of life. And how do we balance this, especially in this generation that is sandwiched between having children? And so I say that this demographic is now going younger and younger because I'm seeing them in my own practice. They are 28 years old, they are 30 years old, they've got children. And some of them, and many of them whom I've met, are single parents, single mother. I hardly see single fathers because in my practice they're all women, right, mostly. So they're single mothers trying to find a way of living, trying to be beautiful so that their workplace will keep them. This is something I want to tell you as a plastic surgeon. The number of younger people who want to stay looking young so that they don't lose their jobs, so that they're forever always looking fresh and they're ready to work. And and when they start reaching 40, 45, they come in here because they want to stay young. They want to continue to be employed before they lose their their dexterity of their workplace before they get changed out for somebody else younger and more beautiful. All right, there's stress everywhere. And so that's why in my practice, I spend about 20 minutes to half an hour sourcing out the problem. Because if I don't have that problem sourced out with a solution, whatever I do will never be appreciated. They will always feel I could do better. I want my breast to be bigger. I want my nose to be higher. I want my eyelids, my eyelashes to be like flaps of an aeroplane, you know. You know what I mean? It's always heading for a mark which is beyond expectation. You know, and they're struggling. They're struggling to find a way out of whatever troubles they're going through on the inner side. And so that's the reason why when you think about it, they're actually a generation that's caught in the middle. Can you understand that concept? Caught in the middle. Now, life is full of choices. And can you please adjust the clock? Life is full of choices. All right? And when you talk about choices, when it comes to a sandwich generation, the choices are both important. You see, when you talk about a dilemma, let's say we're going through a dilemma. Life is full of choices, but the dilemma comes in when both the choices are important. You cannot choose one from the other. That's why it's called a dilemma. All right? When you have a choice of this is good, this is not too good, sure you'll go for the good, right? But when both choices are equally important, and that is your children. In this generation, they have to look after the children because they're getting married so early, and these babies are popping up. And then you got elderly parents, more so difficult if they're all living under one roof. And so the person who is in the middle, sandwiched, caught in the middle, they cannot choose because you love both. That's the dilemma of the sandwich generation. How do I survive? How do I make a living where I love both and I can have both? Because I know that the one that I will lose earlier will be my parents, my elderly parents. And so the joy of life is that if you can work and afford to be able to support both, that's the key, isn't it, to a fulfilled life. All right. For me, a fulfilled life is when I'm at home with myself. All right. So the stress in these people is intense because of the loads of strain. And so if I'm talking to you right out there, Instagram, welcome to those of you who have just joined me. Get on to YouTube because it's much easier. I'm talking to the YouTube. We are live on YouTube. Heart Talk with Dr. Charles Lee. And Instagram, of course. And I just want to make a shout out to the Instagram that please sign up, follow, register, subscribe, send me kisses to Charles Lee Pro. That's the other channel on my Instagram, Charles Lee Pro. Because soon we will be going live on Charles Lee Pro. And at the same time, get on to the Inner Club, which is on Facebook. And again, follow, subscribe, send all your kisses to me because I love spending lunch with you. And I want some feedback. Would you be good enough to send me some feedback? Are you enjoying this lunchtime talk? Or are you sitting outside talking other stuff that don't matter to you in life? Send it to me because the girls will be able to relate to me. I'd love to know your names. I'd love to know who I'm talking to. I'd love to be able to get some idea whether I'm talking to the wind because I can't see you all. I'm only talking to a camera. Instagram, you're too far from me, so I can't see your names. But I can feel you. And the moment it is over, I always ask my girls, who came on? And many of them, sometimes we get 30, 40 people on Instagram live, and they're all names which got no names. You know what I'm trying to say? They're all short forms, you know. So please, send me your full name, If you want to send some kisses, that'll be fine. Some hearts, okay? So that I can see who is joining me. And I wanted to be part of this journey that I have lived and the valleys that I've been through and the mountain tops that I've crossed over to see what's on the other side. And I hope that it'll be a blessing to you. So when you think of this sandwich generation, and now, 2022, middle of the road, middle of the year, caught in the middle, you have to make a decision. Because this choice is a dilemma. You are in the center of both. And so when they come and see me in my practice, and they are in this age group of 30 to 40, that age group, right? It's a challenge because they want to do something. There's a price to it. And it's a choice of what's more important. And invariably, it's always the workplace. Invariably, 8 out of 10 of my patients will say, I have this problem in my workplace. This is what they tell me. This is what is happening, doctor. I have now to keep my work going. I want to look better. I want to look younger. And can you help out, And then when I go in deeper, yes, there's a problem at home. I'm stressed out. I've left my child. And that's why it's so important that the parents are healthy. Because if you're struggling with a parent that has a problem, either they have health issues or they've got, recovering from surgery, you've got to take them for their checkups and come to like Glen Eagles. How many I know who are rushing off after they see me? I say, why you hurry? I need to talk to you. Oh, doctor, 11 o'clock, my parents have got an appointment to see a doctor. They've got this problem, that problem. I mean, it's a crazy world, isn't it? So crazy. And it's crazy because it's stressful. And we could do without it. We could do without all this stress. And that's why the Inner Club is about empowering a network of entrepreneurs in the real world. The R is the real world. That's the world that you want every child to be born into. That's the world that I want to live in. Because in that world, I can live a prolonged life. You too. In that world, I can live and recover youthfulness. I want to feel youthful, don't you? If you're live on Instagram, don't you want to feel youthful? If you don't feel youthful, then you'll feel useless. Like as if there's no meaning to life. And so it is affecting a lot of people. And number one, this generation called the sandwich generation. In fact, right now, before I forget, because it's getting younger and younger and younger, the demographics, right, is shifting. Write the word down, shifting demographics. Especially in the Asia Pacific, especially Asians. The parents, we live with the parents. And so we have to support them. If you're living in a home and they are there, you still have to provide for it. Or if you're living in the basement of your mother's house, you still have to help in the rent. You still have to pay towards there's pressure everywhere. And that is why more and more, as they take this pressure on, they're becoming what is called psychologically unemployable. They don't want to be employed by people. They want to have their own business so that they're in control because of the pressures of life. I can't go to work from 8 to 5. I need to get to work. I need to do something where I am in control. I am responsible before I can take orders from others. And so I can tell you this, that, even though there are so many pressures, the number one pressure is finance, financial stability. Secondly, it's physical. And these pressures in this generation can have physical impact on us. I know at one time I was 45, 50. I know at that age, coming out of the baby boomers kind of age, and I know the pressures I used to operate and the stress and to bring up 3 children, and now they're all doctors and specialists, and the pressures of life, because you have to meet these ends. All right, and especially if you've got a home and you've just started, and the first thing you want to have is your own home. You want to have your own car, and that's another debt coming into your life. And then you get into a home like my home. When I bought my home, it took me 30 years just paid off. The first 5 to 10 years was just paying interest. And then when the crisis happened, it soared up to 15%. And I had to sell some other properties because I couldn't hold. And so these are part of life. You can't run away from it. You can only, as they say, get on with it. All right? But in 11 years ago, the pressure that was going into my own life, I didn't know that, as I was talking before, that the blood supply to my own heart was closing up. And that led to open heart bypass surgery. So I'm talking to you from a scar on my chest. So I feel my passion is for this generation that is called the sandwich generation. That's my passion. When they come to see me in that age group between 30 to 40, I'm sold out for them because I want them to stay beautiful, stay young, stay youthful, prolong youthfulness. That's the key word today in my practice. Prolong youthfulness. And I always talk about this scientist, 350 years ago. His name is Robert Boyle. And Robert Boyle was the father of chemistry. In fact, he was the first president of the Royal College of Physicians in London. And Robert Boyle, if those of you who are science students, he is the one who wrote the whole list, 20-point list. It's called the wish list. And in all my talks, particularly if you're regularly following me on my talks, I mention about Robert Boyle because the number one point on his list was the prolongation of life. 350 years ago. How do we prolong life? And today, the technology of prolonging life is becoming more and more real. People are living longer. They're no more no more dying at the age of 50, 60. They're going on to 70, 80, 90. And because of this prolongation of life, which Robert Boyle thought about 350 years ago, it's becoming a bigger stress and a burden to those in this generation. Because they have to support their parents and their grandparents who are living longer. And that's the dilemma of the sandwich generation today. So much so that instead of having one sandwich, now they're called double sandwich. Like, you go to McDonald's and you order, I tend to order all the time, double cheeseburger, double mushroom burger, because I want 2 patties, right? Now I was just telling Mary just now, you can have 3 layers. It's called a club sandwich. So the more and more pressure, the more and more stress, the higher and higher, excuse me, the decks become from a double-decker to a triple-decker sandwich. And there will come a time when, as these decks are piling up to become a club sandwich in this generation, you know what's going up at the same time? Diseases. Diseases are going up, catching up. All right? Because of pressure, because of stress, because of meeting end goals, because of no time, always rushing. If you go to certain countries, and I won't mention them, you wonder whether they've got time to go to the toilet because the way they're walking on the road, like tomorrow there's no more tomorrow. You see them walking so fast, like, no smile, no nothing, Now with the mask, even worse, because you see their hands just moving. Pressures of life. I've lived it for 40 years working as a doctor. It's worrying. And that's my passion for this particular generation. My children are in that generation. It's called the sandwich generation. And so when this was talked about 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, today it's no more sandwich, Today I call it the club sandwich generation. The dilemma, because it's piling up. And what is happening now is that you look at the statistics of diseases. Last year alone, 2021, cancer was 50,000 new cases last year in Malaysia. 51,000. If I go to the operating theatre whenever I have surgery to be done, look at the list. There's no organ that is not removed except the heart, because the heart is always patched up. But the lungs are removed because of smoking and lung cancer. All right, breast cancer. Younger and younger women are getting breast cancer, more aggressive. The cancer is more aggressive. And then there's colon cancer, stomach cancer. It's everywhere. It's like part of life today. And I know that, heart disease, all right, these are stresses related. And the cause of all these diseases is one word. Inflammation. Inflammation. All right? The word inflammation, the root word of inflammation is flame. Flame means fire. So from the very moment we are born, our bodies are on fire. It's burning. The question is, how much of forest fires can we handle? All right? And this is the cost of what we are doing today. In fact, if you heard my video last night, and I was preparing myself and wondering what to share with you about this dilemma, and I was hearing this climate change talk and all that, and yes, it's worrying. Of course it's worrying. But at the same time, there's also a climate change that is happening on the inside of this particular sandwich generation. It's burning. The forest fires are getting out of control because of this silent epidemic across the world, which is called inflammation. And so as I work through now and I empower these entrepreneurs, I'm directing them to one passion alone, and that passion is anti-inflammation. If you can listen out there, I'm crying out to you. If you can develop that gift of loving this whole concept of anti-inflammation, you're on the right road to success. You're on the right road to happiness. You're on the right road to prolongation of life and the recovery of youthfulness. Because that's the key, anti-inflammation. All right? And so as we, our bodies, I say this all the time to my girls, I don't see disease except skin cancer. The rest of it I don't. And I go and operate with other consultants who call me for reconstructive surgery. In fact, just 2-3 weeks ago, the neurosurgeon called me because he had removed a brain tumor and there was a big hole in the scalp, and I had to go and do reconstructive surgery to turn this whole scalp around to close this hole in the patient. And it is horrendous because there was a patient in the sandwich generation. All right? And she has got 3 children. And there she is with brain tumor, brain cancer. And this is something that's so worrying. And I was standing there and looking over the neurosurgeon's shoulder. And he was telling me, Charles, you better help to close up this big hole because they had removed a whole huge, like a tennis ball brain tumor. And he was just dissecting. Same generation, same demographics. What a loss to life. You see, that's why we live life as if we are immune to age-related diseases. Let me tell you something. As someone who's got a scar on my chest from open heart bypass surgery, don't ever live your life thinking you would be aware and immune of age-related diseases. It can catch us up at any time in life. And so this now sandwich generation is not only double-decker, but now it is triple-decker, and now it is a club sandwich because of the pressure of what is going on. And this is something that I feel is hitting the whole emotional constraints to everybody. So there is the financial burden, there is the physical burden, all right? There is the emotional burden, and it's also affecting the spiritual aspect of life. People are questioning. When there was an epidemic and a pandemic and people were dying, the hospitals were full, then spiritually they are challenged. Where is God in all of this, isn't it? And yet it drives us even closer to God to seek out help and pray. So at the end of the day, life is full of choices. And as I said, aging is always a side effect of living. As long as we are breathing and alive, we will continue to age. The question is, how can we age smartly? How can we overcome this inflammation epidemic that is going across the world? How can we live a life where we are living in a zone which is called the anti-inflammation zone? I can tell you one thing, it's difficult. I struggle with so many stresses in my own life, whether it is anger, whether it is just being a perfectionist trying to get things done. Who doesn't have these stresses? The question is, how do you control it? And right now, let me just give you a heads up that next week, Friday, we are going live with a wonderful lady. She's a communication expert. She's a trainer. She's a coach. She really handles mass pilots. She teaches them how to handle stress. Her name is Kamini. And so next Friday, I'm telling you now, write it down. Make a note of it. Same time, 1 p.m., I'm going live with her on Zoom. And we will be talking about how the thought life can affect the way we work and how we communicate with each other. Because ultimately, thought life is actually words in the mind that come out as spoken words. And so it'll be very interesting. So please keep a date with me next Friday at 1 p.m. 29th, right? Tiara, 29th? Yes. And so, we will go live with Kamini Katiswaran, and so that'll be very interesting to hear aspects. So coming back to the sandwich generation, so because of this caught in the middle, there is a way out. And that's what I want to talk to you in the remaining 10 minutes. Because there is a financial strain, because there's a physical strain, the lifespan. I had a trainer, I'll never forget it. Her name was Jane. And Jane, when I was working out with her, trying to lose some weight, Jane used to tell me this one phrase, and I'm not sure whether she's watching, but Jane will always tell me this, Dr. Charles Lee? And I said, yes, Jane. Don't die before your death. And I said, huh? And she would say, don't die before your death. In other words, because of the stresses that we are living in, why should we shorten our lifespan? And this is the key to the sandwich generation. That's why I'm actually going to do a master class on what is called the prolongation of life. And the solution is called the M&M solution. The solution to this sandwich generation dilemma is called the M&M solution. I love this M&M. I buy it, and it's a yellow packet. I don't know if any of you all have eaten it. It's got a rugby-shaped like a rugby-shaped chocolate thing. Inside is a peanut. M&M. I love it. But it's not good because sugar is in it, right? So sugar is not good. But anyway, I love it. And so the M&M way of really sourcing out a solution out for this particular generation is called mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness and manifestation. That's the M&M way. How do you fix it in your mind and set your mind, not mindset, but set your mind to the right way of thinking and living and working, and at the same time take it down to your heart, because once it's in your heart, you live from it. You see, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So you need to know, what do you treasure in life? And then you live it out from your heart. And so the M&M way is the only way and solution to this dilemma that this sandwich generation is going through. And one of the keys to this is, how do you fix your mind? How do you get your mindset that can actually help you to rechannel the stresses into a way that it finds an exit point? And that's where health comes in, because health is so important. And so in the Inner Club, empowering a network of entrepreneurs in the real world, my passion is to turn entrepreneurs into professionals through skin health and mineral health, so that you prolong the life of every cell. I was talking to you about last night, listening to a conversation live on climate change. And they were talking about what the climate is doing to the whole environment in this world. Let me tell you something. The key to the prolongation of life as a plastic surgeon's perspective, from a plastic surgeon's perspective, is the environment around every cell. That's my practice. When they come and do aesthetics with me, My focus is once I find out the problem and I know the source of what is killing that environment around the cell, I work on that environment. And in that environment is where the key to life is all about. The cell cannot function if the environment is polluted with what is called free radicals. Free because they are allowed to roam everywhere. Radicals because they are biological terrorists. Write it down. If there is a piece of serviette or tissue paper, write the word down. Biological terrorists. That's the price we pay for living. Aging is a side effect of living. So, if we can direct our resources in health towards knocking out these free radicals that are killing us every day, these biological terrorists, the cell can function beautifully and longer. You see, this is the reason why we are getting all these diseases, because there is an abnormal turnover of the cells. Abnormal cell turnover. I keep talking about it all the time. That's why ladies out there, even men, come and do your regular facials here. We have a hydrofacial. The machine costs $84,000, but you get a lovely facial. You get an exfoliation. It removes all the dead cells because you want the normal healthy cells to turn over at the right time. So even though the body has got its own natural way of doing exfoliation by itself naturally, but in some cases it gets delayed, the cells are there for a longer period of time, they end up with keratosis, and those cells then start to die off, and we have to do CO2, carbon dioxide lasers to remove it. And so if we can keep the environment around every cell healthy, that's the key to cell health. And in that cell, every cell has got a Mr. Bean, like I talk about all the time. And the name of that bean-shaped organelle inside the cell is called the mitochondria. That mitochondria is your ATM machine. You go to an ATM machine, you pump in your PIN word, you write down how much of money you want, it comes out. The same with the environment to every cell. It feeds it. It gives the signal. And then that mitochondria starts to wake up. And the ATM machine starts to produce energy, which comes from what's called ATP. Adenosine triphosphate. That's the energy that keeps. That's why you look at sports trainers. All right, they do sport training, power training, because they want to stimulate the mitochondria. It's a powerhouse of energy. And so if there is a way, and I'm speaking to now the sandwich generation, if there is a way and an opportunity for you to earn big. If you have a choice between being rich and being wealthy, go for wealthy. Because the greatest gift of a working life is the ability to earn. So if you can earn and become wealthy, do it. Because you know why? You do not know what kind of bus you're riding. Whether it's a single sandwich, whether it's a double-decker bus, or whether it's a triple-decker bus. So the best club, instead of eating a club sandwich, come and join the inner club. Because there you will be empowered to know what it is like to live in the real world. Alright, so remember that. And that was pretty cool, huh, Mary? Instead of eating a club sandwich, think of the inner club and come and join me. And together, I will train you on how to make skin health your business. Because the best passion you can have, and I have that, is to be able to market skin health and use it as a business opportunity so that you are healthy, the environment around every cell is healthy, and that feeds the matrix of every skin that's in you and me. We have what's called the skin matrix, right? And if we can feed it, you grow it. We feed it here, you grow it. And once you have that kind of mindset that I'm talking about, and you're mindful that this is happening around you, your environment, then you'll be able to realize one sandwich is good enough. I don't want a double-decker, I don't want a triple-decker, but I want the club that Dr. Lee is talking about, which is called the inner club. Go join me. And so if there is a business opportunity which I love about, can you bring me the proteoglycan? Mary, it's on my table, the packet. And I'm going to end up by just sharing with you what I use in my practice with a spray. And I want you to make it an opportunity for yourself. Because this is the sandwich generation. And if you belong to that generation, then here is an opportunity for you to earn a real income. Thank you. A real income where you'll be able to not only help yourself, but help your parents. Because I told you, they're going to live longer. You want them to be around longer. There's no choice to choose. It's the children and the adults, the parents. You want both. That's why it's a dilemma. How do you handle it? How do you earn financially? How do you become spiritually strong instead of crying out all the time? Feed yourself with the fulfillment of life, the abundance of life. Health. Go for health. I know it. I know what my body is missing. And so one of the secrets of everything that I do here, when I talk about the skin matrix is key for health in the skin because that feeds it. The environment of every cell feeds it. And so if I can keep that skin matrix nice and alive, then the person becomes youthful. So the missing link when it comes to skin health, as far as I'm concerned, for years, everybody knows about collagen. All right? Everybody knows about hyaluronic acid. But there are 4 aspects and 4 ingredients in this complement system of the skin, which is essential. This table, 4 legs that really keep the skin nice and young and youthful. Collagen, hyaluronic acid, fibronectin, if you've never heard about it. And the 4th one is this magic called proteoglycan. And so in my practice, I make this, I really sell this. And this is an opportunity for you. It is, manufactured in such a way that it is extracted by alkalization. And it's from the salmon fish, it's from the nasal cartilage, and I put it under my tongue every day. And all my patients spray this, with my face every day because I want to stay youthful. And you can do this every day for yourself. And so my passion for you, and I'm giving you an opportunity, is that every woman should have this on their table. If AirAsia, now everyone can fly. To me, everyone in this sandwich generation can live a life and earn from it as we go on, using health as your base. So this is a wonderful time to be alive right now. Wonderful time because the opportunities are tremendous. And with the technology that we have today, and I take this mineral drink every day, because doctors we don't talk about. Have you been to a doctor and have you ever met a doctor talking like this? Go and sit in front of you and starts to spray his face all over. You met any plastic surgeon who does that? No. They're all concerned about doing a facelift, pulling it here, do your eyes, do your nose, do your breast, do your tummy, suck out the fat and send you home with a bill. I sell health. Because I have a scar on my chest and because I'm a plastic surgeon, I value skin health. I'm not a skin specialist, but I value skin health. And so that's why I'm giving you an opportunity. If you belong to this generation called the sandwich generation, don't wait till it becomes a triple-decker. Don't wait and order for a club sandwich. No. This is a beautiful time, a wonderful opportunity for you to enjoy life, live it well. At the same time, keep your parents healthy so that they may live longer and you can have more love and joy with them longer. At the same time, because of that extra business opportunity, there's more earning for you, so less pressure financially. Emotionally, you're more stable. Mentally, you're more relaxed and sound-minded. And at the same time, your children enjoy you because you're always ready to have that fun in life. So on that note, I'm going to end because this is a multi-generational need at this time. And the way out of this is what is called the M&M way, mindfulness and manifestation. How do we become mindful that this Deca bus is getting higher and higher and larger? And how do we fix it in our mind? And through the process of manifestation of abundance in life, take it down to our heart and live from it, because that's the fountain of life. When you have found that success, you will never run away from it, because it will never be dry. Because out of your heart is the wellspring of life. Remember that. I hope you will remember that. So, I just want to thank you once again for joining us on Instagram. Do you have a list of names that you know who have joined? Bring that list to me. So as Tiara gives me the list, I want to thank you for staying with me. And like I said, all these names, I will not be able to know you. I know there's an Imelda here, there's a Lena, there's Sharon. Hi, Sharon. There's Donna, Diana, Felicity. I hope you're still there. Vianance. Yeah, thank you. You have come back to us. Kong and Yabi Yabu. Right. I mean, send me your full name, send me your email addresses so I keep you on our newsletter. But I hope I'm able to sell you health. I mean, I'm a big salesman. I tell you, I'm never ashamed when it comes to sales, because you sell life. You don't sell death. Okay? That's the important thing that take home from me. And that is, if you're in that generation called the sandwich generation, I can tell you one thing: if you're not aware of it, and you not know where you're in, and you're caught in the middle, it can take a better hold of your life, as it did in mine. And you will not be able to handle it because of the pressures of having no time to choose between both choices. It's a dilemma between children and between the adults, parents who can be grandparents. If they are healthy, then many of the working people will leave their grandparents, their children with their grandparents. But if you've got parents that are not healthy, it's an added burden to you. And I know it. So that's the reason why I believe that the source of life begins in opportunities. And so I'm inviting you to join me in the inner club. All right? Remember this, my last saying before we close. Invitations. Girls, follow me. Invitations. Louder. Invitations. Can change your life. How you respond to an invitation can change the course of your life. All right? So, it's very important. Never turn down an invitation when it comes to life. It can change you. It can change your direction. It can open up your eyes to realize, because if you're 30 years old or 28 years old, and you've got friends who are single mothers, single parents, got children, pressure, because most often they're living with their parents. They have to support both. And they have to work overtime, sometimes 2 jobs, 3 jobs. I'm giving you a business opportunity where you make health your source of income, extra income. And you can ride on that health for yourself first, and then for the immediate loved ones around you, and make that a source of extra earning and living. And I can tell you that there will be no regrets, because today is that how do we care for the carers? That's you and me. All right. So from that, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you have enjoyed your lunch. Thank you, Mary, as the producer of this lunchtime chat. Thank you, Tiara. And I look forward to see you next Wednesday and next Friday. Okay, so Wednesday, most probably next Friday, because that's when we're going to invite Kamini from Kuala Lumpur, who is a communication coach. She's a trainer and an excellent lady to learn from, of how your thought life can affect your work life through communication. Many of us have that problem of how to communicate. And so we look forward to having you all join me on Zoom, and that will be the next step that we're going to do. So once again, thank you very much for joining me live on YouTube. Again, it's Heart Talk with Dr. Charles Lee. Thank you for joining me on Instagram. Remember, for Instagram, you can get on to the next channel called Charles Lee Pro. The next time I go live, I will use that channel. So once again, from all of us here, thank you and have a wonderful day ahead and a lovely weekend. See ya. Uncertainty in the world, in your life, in your family, creates opportunity. And how you step out into your future takes courage. And that's the most important thing that is important for us today. Where your mind is now is not going to be helpful for the future. And so we need to create an environment both in your inner world and in your outer world and connect it. And once you know that connection, that takes you out to do networking with a purpose to heal the world and first of all heal yourself. So I think the lesson to learn is that your inner game can control the outer game that's in the world. So stay with me and together we will learn how to walk where today is not about today, it's about your future and mine. Everything happens for a reason. And so network must have a purpose. That must be your reason why you do what you do. And so when there's a purpose, that purpose must be enveloped in passion. So purpose plus passion equals opportunity. But that opportunity cannot generate inside of you and outside of you without energy. And so energy moves in frequencies and vibrations. So your purpose in networking must be, number one, it must be real. So get real. Number two, it must be relevant. It must be relevant to you, relevant to the world at that time. And because it's repeatable, number three, 3 R's. The number one reason why people don't get what they want is because they don't know what they want. I think that's the take-home sign. And so we all work because we choose to work. It's our choice to work. And that's the comfort zone that most of us are in. But what we want to do is we want to move to the income zone, okay? And that's where the passive business income comes in, which is massive. And once your passive income becomes more than your expenses, that is financial freedom. So in this network marketing business that we are doing in the health industry is what is called an inflammation zone, because that's the killer, an epidemic of the 21st century. So if you're doing a network marketing business in health industry, then between the income zone and the comfort zone is what is called the inflammation zone.